Incoming transmission.
Hey everybody, this is Ed this week on Boosting the Signal and a very special Boosting the Signal because I'm talking to somebody I think the entire internet needs to be following and needs to be checking out. It's Zila Treks. Hello, Zila Treks. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to be here. I'm a big fan.
Oh, I appreciate that. I don't think anyone's ever said they were a big fan. That's a new one.
What?
Um, but no, I'm enjoying your content as well. Right off the bat, I got to say you kind of just came on my radar from past guests. It was Matt Jennings and Anna Rose had brought, they would share, and I was like, oh, okay, I need to check this out. And I always do my best to follow as many Star Trek accounts as I possibly can. And but yours is relatively new. You started around
Yes.
August of 2025 on Instagram, at least.
Mhm.
What brought you to
Yeah.
Instagram?
Yes. I started posting content on TikTok first. But like I am relatively new. I only started about a year ago, and then I started posting my stuff to Instagram. And I I just really I love making videos. I'm like a video editor by trade, and I'm also a relatively new Trekkie. So I've only been into Star Trek for about 5 years.
Wow.
And yeah, and was so attached to it right off the bat. I started with Deep Space Nine, and I found a lot of, Trekkies on Tumblr, and I didn't really even know there was a huge Trek presence on like TikTok. And I think my first video that I made was my Deep Space Nine Dream Blunt rotation. And I kind of just put that out into the world because I wanted to share my thoughts with someone. And there was an outpouring of people who wanted to, chime in on their thoughts about mine and then their own. So I was like, oh my God, Trekkies are so funny. They're so fun and they're here. And from there I just started to make more and more videos about Star Trek. So that's kind of
Well,
my journey.
I'm glad you did, and DS9 is the best place to start. I'm a Deep Space Nine guy. I don't know if you've noticed when I post,
I
I
have.
yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say I love the Cisco. I have a Cisco section. I and one of the
Amazing.
best gifts my wife got me 2 years ago for Christmas. She had tracked down a Benjamin Cisco commemorative plate. So it's my
Get
pride and joy.
out.
And
Amazing.
but yeah, excellent start. And that usually brings me to my, like, what is your Star Trek story? And I like, okay, so we
Yeah.
know DS9 is where you started, but what got your
Hmm.
attention? How did you go, I need to check this out?
Yes. Well, I have a group of friends who was watching it at the time. This was like a little bit after the pandemic, and they were so into it. They were making jokes every day, inside jokes every day, Ferengi this, Cardassian that, and I couldn't keep up, and I kept asking them to explain the jokes, but they wouldn't. They were like, "Ah, you just gotta watch it." And so they had a little watch party for me. They had already seen, they were probably a couple seasons in, but they had a little watch party for me. And I just watching The Emissary, and I've talked about this recently on my page because I'm doing a little rewatch um, on my podcast, but because I'm trying to show it to my brother who's not a Trekkie and trying to make him a Trekkie. But essentially, I just thought the writing was incredible. Like I had no prior knowledge of Star Trek whatsoever, but the way that they talked about grief and nonlinear time, immediately off the bat, the clear like love between Cisco and Jake, I was just like, wow, it was really touching. I loved the fieriness of Kira, and the socio-political themes were so present. I was like, what is this show? Y'all didn't tell me it was this good, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like I was hooked in episode one, and then yeah, so that was my journey from there. I've since after that I watched Voyager, and then I watched Lower Decks of all things. But
Oh,
I know. I loved Voyager deeply.
yeah.
And I was actually at a really tough place in my life when I watched Voyager, and um, the fact that I was really struggling, I felt very lost. I felt very stuck in life. And so it felt like it perfectly mirrored the Voyager being lost and stuck in the Delta Quadrant and just facing obstacle after obstacle, like seemingly unending. And so I would at night watch Voyager and I'd be like, oh, if they could get through this, then I could get through another day. If they can get through another day of the Delta Quadrant, I could make it through another day on Earth 21st century. So
Well, that's a really
yeah,
good.
I'm rambling a bit, but
No, no, no. It's a good analogy. It really it makes sense. And I recently finished a rewatch of Voyager myself, and I think I appreciate it more now as an adult than I did when I initially had seen it. And I've probably watched through the show many times. The and you're right. It's they definitely are written into a corner, as it were. So I can
yes,
love that. And going back to what you said about DS9 and Cisco and Jake and Captain Cisco, I love that Benjamin and Jake were a positive father and son. To see me as I like growing up, I used to tell people I always wanted Benjamin Cisco to be my dad. Like that's like I had a dad, so don't get me wrong, but I wanted that guy to be my dad,
yeah,
and I think one of the best things, I don't know if you had an opportunity, if I may, I want one more thing. I
sure.
assume you watched The Seventh Rule. I assume.
Yes,
Okay.
I haven't seen all of it, but I've definitely, yes,
Okay. Okay. Well,
peeped a couple episodes.
but Sirach had a couple of years ago started, Captain Cisco Day, which is actually coming up soon-ish. But the it was an opportunity for fans to write Avery Brooks and to express to him everything that he meant to us. And I think that was one of the biggest gifts I had ever been given was the ability. I don't know if he read it. I have no idea if he ever read it, but just
Okay.
the ability to write it and know it's out there, it's in the universe,
Yes.
and there's that possibility. So
That's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I do think like I can imagine I'm always so jealous of Trekkies who grew up watching the show because I think I would have been a fundamentally changed person if I had watched it coming up. But yeah, it's just such an incredible portrayal of and I love my dad too. And in a lot of ways Cisco does remind me of my dad. But I think Cisco in a way that just you rarely see on TV is so emotionally available and like emotionally there for Jake, and open to communicating and all of these wonderful things that it's such it touches you and it's such a good example. So that's really nice that you got to actually write into to Avery Brooks.
I hope there's more opportunities for people because there are, Trekkies like yourself that are coming into it late that, are discovering things and now have opportunities. And as jealous as you are, or envious, as we shall say, of people that grew up
Mm.
with it, I'm envious of you getting to see things for the first time with fresh eyes. Be, to me, I think we took it for granted. I was in the 90s. I was a teenager growing up in the heyday of, Next Generation, DS9, Voyager, the movies, and we took it for granted. And then when it went away, it was like, okay, like, what do I do? But
Yeah, totally. I guess just rewatch.
yeah.
But yeah, it's been nice because when I first posted, I had actually thought about posting Star Trek content probably a couple of months before I actually started. And I was nervous because I'd only seen, I think, fully Deep Space Nine at that point, and I had heard rumors about Trekkie's intensity as a fandom, and I didn't want to get, bullied, for lack of a better word, for not like knowing all of the st but it was just the complete opposite experience of what I was nervous about. Like people are, like you said, excited to watch me be on my journey, and that's been really fun. And I'm happy to get to be a vessel because I do think like rewatching with someone new is the closest you can get to watching it for the first time, which is why I
Exactly.
started a podcast where I where I watch it with my brother because it's like you get to feel the excitement vicariously. And so, yeah, I'm so happy that the Trekkie community is so inclusive and welcoming of me doing that.
Oh, indeed. Star Trek Storytime, your podcast with your brother. I think it's a wonderful idea. It made me wish I had a sibling, or I wish, or better yet, like when I first met my wife, which we've been together coming up on 14 years. When she and I first met, I convinced her to start watching Star Trek. I wish I would have thought of something like that then, because it was always fun. I end up doing a couple of things, and I'm going to throw an idea out there for you as an idea, and you can feel free to use it. I had a segment I used to
Sure.
do called things or questions, Star Trek questions my wife asked, and it was just silly
Yes.
questions that I knew that people would love. And I thought, yeah, I was thinking about you the other day. It was like if your brother and you were watching it, maybe your brother's going to ask a, silly question and you can have it to answer, or put it out there for the community. So it's
That is a great idea. And it's like the questions have come up. We just never thought to make it a segment. But the other day he was like, wait, so a holodeck is what? Actually, I think on the first episode, he's like, wait. What is a bridge? And I was like, oh my God, you're so new. Like you're so green to the world. So that's actually a perfect idea. I wonder if you remember any questions your wife asked, but
Well, the one that she asked, the first one that got my attention was about hypo sprays and whether or not they were painful, because she noticed sometimes,
mm,
like when it was actually it was DS9, it was the episode where Kira had gone back in time to save her mom from Dukat, and
yes.
her mom had the scar on her face, and they
Mm.
gave her a hypo spray, or sorry, no, hypo spray. Sorry, it was the dermal regenerator. They were fixing her
Mm-hmm.
face, and she asked, "Does that hurt?" And I said, "I don't think so. It's supposed to be fixing everything." But she looked like she was in so much pain, and so on and so forth.
Mm.
And it was a really good question. And I
That's a
remember putting
great question.
it is, and it's like if you go back and like I find myself watching people getting dermal, like Riker. Let's say Riker's got some scratches. He's just all like, "Oh man, whatever," But is he crying on the inside? I don't know.
Right.
Um,
Totally. It could
uh,
totally be like a tattoo situation in
it,
which people are like masking the pain or have different tolerances. That's a good
that's
one.
true. That's a good point. And there are people that I've seen people, they start to get a tattoo and it's one spot and they're like, no, 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 and then other
Right.
people relish it.
You
So.
know?
So,
Great questions.
just out of curiosity, we talked about, like I said, I've always been an Avery Brooks guy, a Cisco guy. So Trek or not, who inspires you?
That's such a good question. Uh, well, I'll stick. I have so many Trek inspirations. So I'll stick with Trek. Off the bat, I'd say Nichelle Nichols. I just a few months ago watched her documentary, Woman in Motion, and my goodness, the way it inspired me in a lot of ways. I think one, she is a talent, like in terms of the her acting and singing and dancing. Like it's just so incredible to see her journey to Star Trek. But then the way that she got involved, the way that she inspired people to get into the space program, not just inspired, but organized and really did the footwork and the groundwork to get people of color and more women into the space program. I look at that and I see how, because I'm a media girl, I do video, I do content, and then but it just makes you realize like it's so much more than media and representation is so much more than just entertainment. It really is pushing people to go beyond, go boldly go. And so I really hope to do that in some form or fashion as I'm on my own media journey. And she definitely inspired that. And just art imitating life and life imitating art, that is just so cool to me. So that's one. I could go on. I don't know.
Feel free.
Okay, okay. I would say again, Captain Janeway. I really, really appreciated um her as a captain. I think Cisco probably is my favorite captain. But Janeway's a close second. I do think because she is a woman and she was in such a tough spot. Like
Yeah.
uh it sometimes we are just not, we don't have the tools like we wish. Like she did not have the Federation at all. All she had was her principles, and she had to make that work, and she had to do conflict resolution, and she had to do diplomacy, and she had to do, time travel, all these different things. Just sometimes all you have is your principles, and I really admired the way that she navigated that, and I think Kate Mulgrew did such an incredible performance in that way. Um, yeah, and I'm a Beckett Mariner stan
Oh yeah.
from Lower Decks. Yeah. I think she's probably my number one favorite character in all of Trek. And she so inspired me. And I guess while I'm mentioning Beckett, I'll say Tawny Newsome as well. Two different reasons, but um Beckett Mariner inspires me. I think I related to her a lot. I think I have a fondness for the lower decks of real life, which is just everyday people. Everyday people are really running things all the time. And I thought that was such a brilliant concept for a Star Trek show, first of all. I think Mike McMahon shout out, but I have such a fondness for the lower decks of life. But then sometimes you're so afraid of doing the big things like getting promoted to ensign or having a dream of being a captain because of all the things that could go wrong and all of the serious life risks. And so it takes a certain level of bravery to confront the things in yourself that are holding you back from that. And I like that about Becca. It showed she's brilliant. She had all the potential to be a captain, but she just had these internal hesitancies, and seeing that journey made a huge impact on me. And Tawny Newsome, I thought was so brilliant in doing it, and I just think it's so cool that she went from being a voice actor on Lower Decks to in the writers' room for Starfleet Academy and doing such a brilliant DS9, an homage as a writer and comedian. I think as someone who's in media and doing stuff like that, I admire it so much. So those are a couple of my big ones.
They're all good ones. I have so much respect for Tawny Newsome, especially with writing the Sam episode of Starfleet Academy. I remember hearing rumbles that episode 5 was going to be something that I did not want to miss. And when people kept saying, specifically telling me, and I'm like, this is going to deal with Cisco, isn't it? It was like,
Yeah.
and I remember being so excited. And I admit I cried so much. I
Same.
cried so
Same.
much in that episode. But yeah, and I'm glad that she was Dax. I all see people
Oh
all the
my
time.
God.
How could Dax still be alive when she was like 300 then? And like, who cares? It's science
Who
fiction.
cares?
She's
Thank
there.
you.
It
Thank
doesn't matter.
you.
Don't tear it down.
100%. I think Jadzia Dax was definitely one of my favorite DS9 characters. I admired her so much too. I think she reminds, I'm 30 now, so I'm getting up there, but in my 20s, like I felt very Jadzia Dax coded, and she was a little bit just the fun of life was her whole thing. Um, but of course, still super competent and everything. But I thought she was just such a fun character and so strong, and they were just portraying women in a way that I wish we saw more of these days. But so when she came up as Isla X in that episode, I started bawling. I have a video of it, but I can't post it because I look insane. But it was so magical. It was amazing.
No, I get it. I did a reaction video, not to Star Trek, but I remember one time doing a video and my wife had me crying and I was like, that will never, ever be on the internet. It's like, I it's bad enough
Yeah.
admitting out loud that yes, I cried. Like, maybe it was Walking Dead. I don't know, but it's like I
Yeah.
don't think Walking Dead's ever made me cry, but um,
Something of that nature. It
yeah,
could.
something of
It
that
could.
nature,
Yeah.
exactly. But no, I loved Starfleet Academy. I'm looking forward to season two. I'm a big fan of everything. I love Jaden. I have to say that man, who oh, the tough one. That's a tough one. I like Jaden.
It is tough. They're all I like a lot of the characters. I do. I'm a huge Sam fan. I think that one is probably a given for me. I just thought she just brought it. She brought the spirit of Trek, the ways in which there are so many characters in Star Trek that allow us to see someone who's struggling to be a person because being a person is so hard. There's, Data and the Doctor and 709, and I think Sam brought us that in a really cool new way. So and just the swag she had, like I loved her hair and the effervescent, I don't know if that's the right word, but she's so sunshiny and the glue of the friend group in a lot of ways. So I think she's definitely probably one of my favorites. But and the amazing thing about Star Trek is you love the crew. Like
Yeah.
the way that they all meld together and have different strengths and complement each other's weaknesses, um, problem solve together, support each other, fight, and then resolve. That is probably my favorite character of of a lot of Star Trek shows. So yeah, it was a great journey. I appreciated it.
Now, let me ask you this. This is a little off the beaten, but since you've touched base on DS9 and Voyager and obviously Lower Decks, and you've seen Starfleet Academy, have you gone back to the original? I mean, I'm just curious, like, dabbled
Yes.
in that too much?
I have not dabbled too much. I have seen a couple of select episodes that have been, recommended. I saw I started I did the cage and then the man trap. I've seen a mock time
Okay.
and then, different popular episodes. But of course my dream is to watch every single thing, like I plan to watch all of it. I have no disinterest in any single show. I'm definitely excited about Enterprise. Like I'm currently watching The Next Generation. So I'm in my
Okay.
first season of that. I actually just watched an episode today, the one where we meet Loxana Troy for the first time. So that
Oh,
was
okay.
that
Was
was
that
really fun.
was that
Um,
Masterpiece Society? Which was
I
that?
think it was Haven. It's called
Haven. Okay.
Haven.
Oh, with the
Yeah.
box. The box.
Yes.
That's
The
Armin
box
Shimerman
that
in
was
the box.
Quark.
Yeah.
Somebody just told me that. I was like, his laugh did seem familiar, his crazy laugh. Yes, Armin Shimerman. Incredible.
Well,
So I plan to go back, but I have not gotten to everything yet.
I've told people in the past, like, oh, I'm just getting into Star Trek. What should I watch? And I'll be honest with you, I've told people you can skip season one and two of TNG. There's some rough episodes. I mean, you can pick and choose. You can pick and choose. There are some rough
Right.
ones. If you're in season one, there's I avoid Code of Honor. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, that one was rough. And it's funny because people were warning me about Code of Honor, but they weren't saying why. And I was like, this episode is super racist, and I just knew in my and then I watched it and I was like, yep. It was not only racist, it was really sexist too.
yeah,
But sorry.
no, go on. No.
Yeah, I think okay. I was just I think I appreciate I'm not skipping, so to speak. Like as much as many people have recommended skipping one and two, but I'm actually really enjoying, besides the whole code of honor of it all, enjoying the journey of it. I think that there are so many gems, and I love the build up, and I love even kind of corniness or campiness of some episodes that are just like, what is going on? Like, I find so much joy in that. I'm learning about Q in
Oh
a
yeah.
new way. That I only experienced him in DS9 and Voyagers, but now I'm understanding like why people actually like Q.
Yeah.
I find him much more entertaining in TNG than the others. So I'm not minding the rough parts of the journey. I feel like it's all part of the ride. And then you get to appreciate how far Trek has come
Oh yeah. Logically,
also.
after you finish New Next Generation, are you going on to Picard?
I think I need to. It's so difficult because I'm also a lot of people want me to watch Discovery.
Mm,
Um,
yeah, that's
a lot of my
fair.
friends are big Burnham fans.
Oh yeah.
So I'm getting peer pressure basically from that. But I would like to watch Picard. I don't know. I've heard that season three is really the best. So I'm like, maybe
Yeah, I mean
I don't
it
know.
it,
Like,
it
do you have
is.
thoughts?
Here's my 2 cents, and you can take it with you as you were.
Yeah.
Um, I liked Picard season one when it was airing. I didn't realize there was problems. It wasn't, and then season two, I enjoyed it while I was watching it. I didn't care about the problems. Then season three came, and I went, oh, I love this so much. And yes, it was season three is by far the best, but if you're taking the journey of Q, then you need it all. You need it all. The movies are good. You
Okay.
know, I mean, there's movies that need to be experienced. I don't know if you've watched any of the films.
I
Um,
think I've only seen the original motion picture, which was
okay.
cool. I heard that they're remastering it. Is that the word?
Yeah,
So
there
I'm
is a
excited about
remastered.
that.
Yeah, I own that
Awesome.
movie in every which way you could possibly imagine. But yeah, there's a
Yeah.
remastered director's cut is what you want to look for. But it's good.
Awesome. Yes. Yeah, that was awesome. And then there's one more that I've seen. I'm blanking. But I truly I haven't seen too many of the movies.
I,
Um, so another part of my journey.
I look forward to the journey. And not to quote Harry Kim in Star Trek Voyager, to the journey.
Yeah.
To
To the journey,
the
to the
journey.
journey. He
And
said it
that's
best.
half the fun. It really is. Yeah, I love your reels and your shorts. I'm not on TikTok, so I mean, but I assume you cross post.
Yeah, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Thanks.
thoroughly enjoy that. I saw your appearance on Kelly Clarkson,
Yes.
which is weird because we probably saw it, but we didn't know that, like I wasn't following you,
Yeah.
so it was like you were just lady in the crowd. But
Right. Totally. Such a random, it was probably the most random day of my life. But it was so fun. I couldn't believe my luck. Like it felt uh like winning a lotto of some sort. Not that I got paid for it, but I got to go and the set was decorated like Star Trek. So I was like, this is probably the closest I'll ever get to being on a Star Trek set. So it felt very surreal. And then of course seeing Holly Hunter speak was so amazing, and the cadets that were there was so cool. And I got to sit next to George Hawkins' family. I didn't realize it at the time, but they were so they were. And then I was like, as they were watching and like cheering on their son, I'm like, oh my God, that's that's his family. And so they were really kind, and yeah, I had a really good time.
that's awesome. That is really awesome. I like that extra knowledge there, knowing you were sitting next to somebody in the family. I
Yeah.
now so I don't presume to know where you live, and you don't have to
No,
tell
it's
anybody,
okay.
but have you made the trip up to Ticonderoga? Because if you were there for Kelly Clarkson, I assume that you are in that vicinity.
I'm in New York.
Okay.
Yeah. But I have not. I have not.
I've heard nothing but great things. I've never made the trip up there. I haven't been to Manhattan in 15 years, something like that. But and like people are like, "Oh, you got to come up here." It's like, "Yeah, but see, that's the thing is like I know where Manhattan is. I know how long it takes me to get there from here. It's like a 10-hour
Yeah,
drive. And then it's another 4 hours to get
I
to
know. Oh
Ticonderoga.
my goodness.
Like you
Yeah.
can't fly there."
Well, what is there? I don't know that I've heard about it.
Really? You don't
Mm-mm.
know?
Mm-mm.
In Ticonderoga, there is the Star Trek um it's like the set. It's the original bridge of the original Enterprise. It's sick bay, it's the quarters, it's everything. There was a fan film about 12, 13 years ago called Star Trek Continues. Look
Okay.
them up on YouTube. They are amazing.
Will do.
um if you know who Larry Nemeczek is, he
Oh,
was.
yes. Oh,
Oh,
yes. Okay.
okay,
Yes.
well, Larry
I'm
Larry
remembering
did.
Star Trek Continues, but
Okay,
continue.
so but the gentleman that played Kirk, he runs Trek Conderoga in Ticonderoga, and it's a set tour. And like in July, I think it is, Shatner's going to be there.
Get
Um,
out of here.
Seriously,
I'm gonna
yeah.
go. I'm gonna
It
go. Thank you
from
for
what I
putting me
understand, it's
on.
worth the journey. Yeah, I've had a few people talk about it and how much they love it and stuff. And I know like Sean Ferrick made the trip to go there once.
Nice.
Um, and he took some lovely photos. And you know that man, the man loves his uniform, so
Yes.
he was ready to go. Um, yeah, yeah.
That
Check
is
it, Trek Conderoga.
amazing. Thank you for telling me because I don't know if it would have come across my path, but I really want to go.
Oh yeah, and
That sounds
especially
awesome.
look up Shatner. I mean, Shatner's gonna be there, and I realize he's gonna live forever, but you never know. It's
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. That would be such a special experience. Yeah, I'll figure it out. I got friends who can drive me. They'll figure it out.
that's the best way to do it. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, I don't even presume to know what gas prices are like there. I know
Oh,
how bad they are
goodness.
here. So,
That's real. I mean, luckily I'm pretty much a public transit girl, so I'm not
yeah.
even too sure myself, but it's not pretty from what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Well, I've told my wife a few times, like, I, I've been wanting to go. I've been wanting to go to Manhattan. Former guest of the podcast, Spencer Garrett, who was in an episode, you'll get to it in Next Generation. He plays Simon Tarsus.
Okay.
He's doing a play right now in on Broadway for Dog Day Afternoon, and
That's awesome. I love that
ticket prices
movie.
are really, really affordable. Like yesterday, tickets were only $20,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
yeah,
Okay.
so really worth checking out him. It's him, John Berthnell, and Evan Moss Bacharach,
Okay.
and then of course Spencer Garrett. And but cheap plug for a Broadway play with a former guest. But
Right. Thank you. I love supporting. I just love the Trek community because I feel like we do just support you wherever you go next.
yeah,
And
well,
I just think that's so cool.
yeah, and I love it. Like I'll give shout outs. I mean, like, do you ever follow the Sci-Fi Sisters?
Yes, love
Okay,
their podcasts, love their
okay.
work.
Yeah, they do amazing stuff. They have I've spoken about it a few times in the past. Like by the time this airs, we'll be getting ready to get the Voyager documentary in the mail. And as great as the Voyager documentary was, I think the Sci-Fi Sisters have had better interviews.
Wow.
And like I think in some ways I would have preferred them to have done,
Mm,
some of the interviews. But
I see.
because they had a really nice discussion with Roxanne Dawson,
Oh,
and it's worth checking out.
I
Definitely.
definitely will. Thank you. I'm a huge Belana Torres fan.
Oh,
I know it's funny because I feel like I'm saying I'm a huge fan of all these different characters, but it's hard not to be. I mean, they're so just tough and I just yeah, I love watching her and just her internal struggles were really I think well portrayed. So I would love to check out that interview. It's probably a
it
really
was
good one.
um it was something that I truly appreciated more. Like the character herself was, half Klingon, half human. And when I was watching it, I early in, well, a little background information. I have an ex of mine who is half African American, half white. And
Mhm.
when I watched it with her, it was something that resonated with her. My wife is half Mexican. And
Mm,
so it's something that's resonated with her. And it's something that it never occurred to me as I grew up because, I didn't have that. I never had that
mhm.
internal struggle. I didn't have the identity issue. So, and I think in society a lot of times it's something that's missing, particularly people that look like me. And
Mm,
I think it's good when it was nice that I was able to live that character again through different eyes because I appreciated the character more than I did as a 15-year-old kid watching the show. Um,
absolutely.
so
Yeah.
it's important.
I, it is. I am half black, half Filipina actually. And though I didn't quite, I think in terms of the way that I think about my like um dual like ethnicities is not quite like Balana. Just the general, I think general internalized like anti-blackness is something that I witness and see in my community all the time. Because most of my days I just spend around black people. And so watching Balana's episode on when she was pregnant and she found out that, I can't remember exactly, but the Klingonness of her
Yeah.
baby, I sobbed at that episode because I know so many people who really struggle to love certain parts of themselves. And it's real. It's a real and not even for unfounded reasons. And that's the thing that I thought was so touching about I mean, B'Elanna truly was ostracized for being Klingon. It wasn't like she made that up in her head. And so it is just such a real internal struggle that I feel like my community faces, and I'd never seen it quite, that's the beauty of sci-fi. You get to see it in like this really upfront way, an allegorical way, and it was so well acted. Oh my God. So yeah, Voyager, so good.
That episode in itself was really good at highlighting the fact that Star Trek was always presented as a utopia. Humans had evolved beyond hate or
Right.
whatever, but yet in that episode, it was a good example that it's still there. There were
Yes.
still children that were,
Hmm.
treating her poorly, and it makes you think, did it get to a point where the parents were they not teaching it? Did they just assume that
Mm.
everything is
Hmm.
copacetic? And I think it was something that wouldn't have happened if Gene Roddenberry had been alive.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm glad that it is something that we can talk about here. That episode was probably 30 years ago, and here we are still chatting about it. And I
Totally.
think that in itself is, a sign of the powerfulness of the writing.
100%. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna try and go to a happier subject.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
how about this? I just out of curiosity, something I kind of ask every now and then is, um, well, first of all, do you collect anything Star Trek related?
I don't have too many Star Trek related items. I'll say I have one Julian Bashir plushie that I adore. And I have a couple of like accessories and clips and stuff that I get to wear, and my Voyager Aircom badge. But I just don't have that much money. I think if I had a little bit more money, I would buy a lot more things.
I
But
understand that one
yeah,
100%. I was like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So I have dreams. I have dreams.
I
But I don't have too much.
I hear I'm trying to live in the Star Trek utopia of we don't have need for money anymore.
Listen,
It's like just
one
give me all the
day.
merchandise.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well
Exactly.
then I'll augment my question slightly by saying, what's something that you collect that may surprise people that only follow you through Star Trek?
Oh, that's such a good question. I'm looking around. Um, I I do like to buy or get gifted or buy cheap books.
Oh, okay.
I have a huge unread books pile. You know, the I'll get to it books pile, but I love reading. I went to the library today and got 6 books, even though I have so many books that are sitting unread. But so I like to get books. Um, I really enjoy. Um, I do like my mugs. I like
Okay.
to drink tea, and I have a Ractigino mug. That one
Oh,
I'm
I'm
really
so
proud of.
jealous.
Yeah, that was a gift. I went to Trek Chicago with my best friend who introduced me to Star Trek, and she was like, "Oh, do you want one?" Because it was around my birthday, so that was a good gift. So I'm a big like tea drinker, so I like my mugs. I think probably those two are the biggest ones, but I'm looking around my room now and it's pretty sparse, honestly.
I was telling my wife if I was there, I know like Master Replica is doing a giveaway right now for vouchers or whatever. And I said if we win one of these, I'm getting a Ractigino mug and the Picard cups. Those
For
are must have.
sure. Do you have a favorite of yours? I mean, I love your collection. Um,
Like yeah, a favorite item in my collection. And I've been asked that a couple of times and it's changed a couple different times.
yeah,
I would probably say, aside from my Cisco plate that my wife got me, a friend of
so good.
mine, a friend of mine had went and had met Jerry Ryan, and he, out of the kindness of his heart, thought to have her autograph a picture for me. And it surprised me. Like I didn't know he
That's
was doing this or anything else. So I have to say I really love that. I have that on display as well. I've never met um any of the main cast. So
okay.
like, but so yeah, that means a lot
That's
to me.
really nice. Speaking of when Trek Chicago last November was my very first convention, and I met Jerry Ryan. I
Oh,
got my picture taken with her, and I have one with her and Tim Russ signed. So oh, sorry, not signed, just the picture. I
okay.
couldn't afford both, but one day. And so yeah, totally can. I treasure it, so I can imagine that being a top one for you too.
Yeah, oh yeah. I think if I could meet any Star Trek actor just to sit down and talk with them,
Yeah,
I think it would be, well, aside from Avery Brooks, which is probably
yeah,
never going to happen.
I
I
know.
I'd have to go with either Sirach because I'd tell him I wanted to be his brother, or
Oh, yeah. I'm
or
sure you would appreciate that.
or it would be Tim Russ because politically we see eye to eye. So
Mm-hmm.
I would get along with him well.
That would
Um,
be awesome. Yeah, I really liked what I've been seeing of him lately, and I liked what he said about Starfleet Academy, or appreciated that
yeah.
he was kind of, yeah, actually a lot of the stars. I think Jonathan Frakes even recently said, um, yeah, it's unfortunate that we have so much hatred toward the new shows, but yeah,
Well, and to go back to what you said when we first began talking, you were apprehensive about, telling people about your love of Star Trek because of, you're right, it goes 50-50 sometimes. People could be accepting, or there are Star Trek
yeah,
fans that can be real, pricks about things.
true.
And it's unfortunate. And sometimes I wonder, what's the point? Like I tell people all the time, we all trek in different ways. We do. It's like you may end up not liking Next Generation for some reason. That's cool. That's fine. But there's going to be that one person that's going to be like, well, you're wrong. And
Right.
nobody should
Right.
ever tell anybody they're wrong. I
Hmm.
loved Starfleet Academy. That doesn't make
Yeah.
me wrong. It
Right.
just, it is a
You like
story.
different things. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
It's, and like people being upset because of a homosexual Klingon.
It's
Why? Why are
I
you
don't
mad?
right. It's
To
unimaginable.
to me, I look at it like this. Like, I look at a character like Jaden as someone my son can look up to. You
Yeah.
know, it gives me hope that maybe one day, like, if he says, oh, I want to watch something that makes me see myself, he can see himself in Jaden. And that's probably why I love the character, because he reminded me of my son, you know?
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I think it's great, and that's why there's a Trek out there for everybody. Um,
100%.
I think it all should be DS9, but
Yeah. Yeah. But you're not wrong if it's not. So it's
sure, sure.
Oh, I love
Well, I
it.
have to tell you, this has been a wonderful hour. I appreciate your time. Would you like to tell everybody where to find you?
Yes, sure. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Zila Treks, no space. And I also have a Patreon with the same name. And there you can find Star Trek Storytime, which we also have an Instagram page for that. But yeah, thank you. Thank you. This
Yeah.
has been so fun.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you so much for your time and being here. And everything will be on the screen for everybody to see. And I'll make sure all the links are clickable. And yeah, I really I wish you all the fun in your journey of learning about Star Trek. And and one thing, I think I speak for the entire community when I say this: welcome. And if you have any questions, ask. We're all here to help, except those people that don't like Starfleet Academy.
Right.
So,
I appreciate that, Ed, and I definitely will. And I'm probably going to be asking more questions about going upstate because that sounds like
oh
my
yeah,
next move.
I'll make sure I send you a link. I'll send you the
Thank
information.
you.
It's not a problem. All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, I will talk to you again soon.
All
Live long
right.
and prosper and continue on your journey.
Thank you.